Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's Abacus Next Free Training Thursdays webinar. This week, we will be focusing on reporting at a high level within Amicus Attorney. And please do accept my apologies for the late start here. I was wrapping up another client training session and it went a little over time. So again, I do apologize to everyone that was waiting here, but let's begin without further ado. So my name is Darren Juby, and I'm a Senior Training Specialist here at Abacus Next, and my focus is the Amicus Attorney product line. And as I said, today we're going to be focusing on reporting within Amicus Attorney. Thus, I've titled today's session Amicus Attorney Reporting 101. Now, just a brief agenda of the topics that we're going to cover over the next hour. We're going to talk about reporting within Amicus Attorney at a discussion level here first, with some PowerPoint slides and so forth as we're going through. And then we will move along to demonstrating what we've talked about within Amicus Attorney itself. And of course, if there's any questions, I do invite you all, as always, to input them through the question feature here in GoToMeeting. And time permitting, I will get to answering those questions towards the end of our session today. And if there's not time permitting, what I ask is that all of you do please provide your contact information, such as an email address with your questions, and I will happily follow up with you afterwards to provide you with the information that you were seeking, if we weren't able to answer that, of course, during our session. So with all of that being said, again, welcome everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, depending on where you are, and let us begin talking about reporting within Amicus Attorney. Now, to begin with, I want to just briefly touch upon the different types of reporting and how we conceptualize it all when we're talking about it within Amicus Attorney. When we think about reporting in Amicus, there are basically 4 ways that we can go about generating reports that are based upon the data contained within Amicus Attorney. They are as follows. So as you'll see here on screen, we've got Microsoft SQL reporting services, or SQL reporting services. This is referred to in the program in Amicus Attorney as the advanced reports. And I'll show you what I mean by that when we actually get to the demonstration portion of this presentation today. Now, as well, within Amicus Attorney in the reports area itself, we also have crystal reports. We sometimes refer to them as legacy or basic reports, is how they're actually referred to within the program itself. When I say legacy, what I mean by that is these reports have been with us for quite some time. We're talking the early Amicus Attorney days, like Amicus Attorney 3 and above, up to Amicus Attorney 5, and then to the small firm editions and so forth. These crystal reports, that's why we refer to them as legacy. They've been with us all this time. And those report templates, they might have been enhanced a little bit over the years, but they realistically haven't changed much from what you're used to using in those old Amicus small firm editions and so forth. And again, that is why I refer to them as legacy. They are still in the system and they're available for your use, but there's not a lot that gets added to them as we move forward. Now, that's where a lot of this technology now and the work goes towards the advanced reports within Amicus Attorney, those SQL or the SQL reports. And that's because, well, they're just that much more powerful and there's a much wider range of what can be done with that type of a reporting mechanism. But I won't spend too much time beleaguering that particular point. So let's move along here and talk about the other types of reporting that we have within Amicus Attorney. Now, I've already mentioned SQL reporting services, the advanced reports. I've already mentioned crystal reports, which are our legacy or our basic reports. Now, those are the reports themselves. But there are other ways we can generate reports from within Amicus Attorney. One of those is using the amazingly powerful document assembly capabilities that are included within Amicus Attorney. We can generate reports using document assembly templates, essentially. And again, when we get to the demonstration portion of all of this, I will demonstrate that so that hopefully this will all tie together and make a lot more sense for you guys. And in talking about document assembly, well, I'd be very remiss if I didn't at least mention hot docs. Now, yes, hot docs is now a part of the Abacus Next family as well, but we've linked with hot docs for quite some time as far as Amicus Attorney is concerned in regards to document assembly. And essentially what we're doing here is, rather than using the document assembly templates right from within Amicus Attorney, we're simply making a call to hot docs and using their powerful document assembly capabilities and features to generate our documents. So in essence, when we're using document assembly within Amicus Attorney itself, we're using the document assembly templates we have available to us, either that we have created, that we've had professional services or someone else create for us, or the ones that are included with the system itself. Now, when it comes to the hot docs, like I said, we're then using the hot doc side of things to generate everything further. So there's a lot more, if you're familiar with hot docs, that you can most likely do from a reporting perspective, especially using hot docs templates. Again, I'm not going to go into that in too much detail. I just wanted to mention the fact that it's an available option. And like I said, I'd be very remiss if I didn't, especially the fact that hot docs is part of our Amicus Next family. So I'm going to give them as much love as I can in this particular presentation. And the last type of reporting that I'm going to be talking about and demonstrating during today's session is what I call interactive reporting tools within Amicus Attorney. And you might be wondering, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is filters within the system itself. And again, I'm going to demonstrate that further as we move along. And one thing that I want to stress, ladies and gentlemen, is when it comes to SQL reports templates, which I'm going to be talking about here in a little more detail in a moment, but I really want to stress this, and I try to stress it at the start of these types of presentations. When you're going to edit an existing report template, best practice is to rename it first so that it does not get overwritten or lost during an upgrade. So for instance, if you take one of the existing SQL reports templates that are included with Amicus Attorney and simply make some tweaks to it, and to do so, which I'll be talking about in a little bit of detail further here, but there's a program from Microsoft called SQL Report Builder. If you were doing these report templates as far as editing or creating them on your own, you would be using that SQL Report Builder software. And what I mean here is if you're going to do any edits or create your own templates, give them a unique name. Like I said, that way, when there's an upgrade of Amicus Attorney done, or for whatever reason something else might happen, but in the case of an upgrade, if a particular report template has been updated, well, it's included with that update or upgrade of Amicus Attorney. And therefore, if you didn't rename the one that you've already edited, then you're going to lose those changes when it gets overwritten. So if I can help you guys avoid that frustration and that pitfall, very, very happy to do so. So that's my little best practice preaching moment here. So let's move now back along to what we've got on screen here and talk further right now about Microsoft SQL reporting services and the Crystal reports. So these are reports that can be generated based upon the included reports templates, like I said, within Amicus Attorney. The Crystal or the basic report templates are your legacy ones, like I said, and they are quite customizable. As well, we've got the SQL or the advanced report templates. And as I was stating earlier, these are the current standard. They're very powerful and they're extremely customizable. Now, when I stated earlier that these Crystal reports templates, or the basic ones, if you will, have been around for quite some time in the Amicus life cycle, well, they have. And while they're still very useful, technology has changed, and that's where the big difference is here. So I don't want to, again, spend too much time focusing upon this, but do note, ladies and gentlemen, when I say there's a big difference between what you can do with the basic reports and the advanced reports, that's not a sales pitch type of statement that I'm making here. That is legit. Again, I can't stress enough what you can do with these SQL reports once you unlock all of the features that they have. Now, again, I don't want to elaborate too much further on that, but both types of templates are customizable. And I can't stress the customization feature enough. Because if you're anything like me, that's going to be a major selling point, for lack of a better way of putting it, as far as being able to use these things. If I can customize a report template to my own needs, I'll never need anything else. And once I learn how to do that or get really good at sourcing out the people that can do that for me, my life just becomes that much easier. So Crystal reports templates, if you want to customize these on your own, like I said, this is definitely something that's doable. However, with the Crystal or the basic report templates, they require expensive Crystal report software to do so with. It's not something that we can provide you guys, unfortunately. It's not part of the licensing agreement that we had with Crystal Reports back in the day. So with all of that being said, you would have to get in touch with Crystal Reports, purchase their software, and then you'd be able to update those templates or customize them in your own fashion. Now that can be a pretty pricey option, obviously. The alternative, of course, our professional services team here at Amicus Next can do some of that customization for you. But again, because these are legacy products, I would be more inclined to direct you guys towards using the advanced report templates or the SQL reporting templates. And if you did want to customize those on your own, well, like I said, you could simply go to Microsoft's website and download their free SQL report builder software. And let me stress something here, though, is that there might be some assistance required as far as getting yourself up to speed on using that piece of software. It's fairly intuitive, but it does take some practice. So I don't want to scare anybody off and saying don't try this on your own. By all means, do so. If you find that it's something that's a little outside of your wheelhouse, if you will, then by all means do inquire about having our professional services team work with you to create some custom templates for you if that's something that you choose to do. Again, of course, there would be a charge involved in that and so forth. Do speak to your account representative in our sales department. But if you want to do this yourself, you do have the options for free SQL Report Builder, but do note that Amicus Technical Support or Amicus Professional Services cannot provide you any support or assistance on that side of things. That's a Microsoft product, and if you had any questions or needed assistance with the Report Builder, you would have to reach out to Microsoft for assistance with that. So again, just want to make sure I put all that out there on the table for you guys. I don't want to steer anybody away from doing such a thing, but just know that you have options available to you. Now, let's talk a little bit further about these. Now, I did mention that the Crystal Reports requires expensive Crystal Report software to customize them, and I did mention that you can get free SQL Report Builder software to take care of that. And again, I mentioned that some cases you may require some further expertise and or Amicus Next Professional Services to create or edit those templates for you. And like I said, we can provide that. Now, let's talk a little bit more about how the reports are broken down. There are user-level reports, there are firm-level reports, and there are billing reports. So let's delve a little deeper into each of these. The user-level reports, well, they're accessible by all users, and they're individual, user-centric reports. So they really pertain to information about you, the person that's running that particular report. And those are all accessible for us within Amicus Attorney in the reports section that you'll see in the upper left of the Office module when you first log in. And again, when we get to the demonstration portion of all this, I will show you guys what I mean. Now, we also have firm-level reports. These are accessible only by the administrator or administrators within Amicus Attorney, and they are more firm-centric reports, in essence giving us more of a high-level, firm level of information, if you will, versus individual or user-centric. And of course, we've also got billing reports. Those are accessible on the billing side of Amicus Attorney if you are indeed licensed for that. And I will show that off as well because my installation is licensed for both attorney and billing. Now, one of the other types, of course, that I mentioned was document assembly. Now, I did briefly mention Hot Docs. That's an add-on. So we won't be talking too much more about that. We're going to talk about the document assembly features that are built into Amicus Attorney moving along. So, as I mentioned earlier, you get document assembly templates that are included with Amicus Attorney when it's installed for you. And as well, these document assembly templates can be customized, or you can create new ones of your own. Now, these reporting tools will allow you to generate a report at the file or the matter level, as well as at the contact or the client level. These templates can be customized as well. Now, again, I'm going to refer back to Hot Docs, but in regards to Hot Docs, if you're doing anything complex, you may require Amicus Next Professional Services assistance. So again, that's something we can provide. If it's Hot Docs support or assistance with creating Hot Docs templates or having those templates created for you, reach out to your account representative and they will be able to get you pointed in the right direction and speaking with the right people. Now, when I talk about the document assembly type of reporting, well, these utilize document assembly templates. And like I said, these templates can be created or edited. And as I mentioned, and I won't mention this again hopefully, but Abacus Next Professional Services can create or edit those templates for you, as well as you being able to do so yourself. Now, there's also, within the program, like I said earlier, what I like to refer to as interactive reporting tools, and I'll do the air quotes with my fingers as I state that. On the attorney side, we can use filters to sort and display our data. We can right-click on headers, and we can show different headings, and we can also group things differently. And again, we'll demonstrate all of that for you guys as we move along here. And on the billing side of Amicus Attorney, well, we could go into the time, fees, and expenses module, for instance, and we can use filters to sort and display our data, as well as the summary information that's presented to us. So again, I will do a demonstration of all of that so that you guys can see this. So we've talked about, and I think I've done enough talking at this point, about the different types of reporting within Amicus Attorney. So with all of that being said, let's get to the real meat and potatoes of this presentation today and do some demonstrations for you guys so that you can see all of this in action. So here's my Amicus Attorney office. For those of you who've participated in any training sessions with me before, or in any of these Amicus Attorney Abacus Next webinars on Thursdays here, you will recall that when we first log into Amicus Attorney, we're taken to the Office module by default, unless we've changed our preferences. And here in the Office module, we get our navigation panel here on the left with all the different modules available to us. If we're so licensed, we've got attorney and billing available to us. So if I click billing up here at the top, well, I get all the billing module options and so forth that are available to me. We're going to stick to the attorney side of things to begin with here anyways, folks. And as well, you'll recall that I mentioned we've got reports. So there's our user level reports. There's our firm reports. So those are those firm level reports. And within each of those, we've got basic and advanced that we will touch upon. And then, of course, we've got the document assembly and the quote-unquote interactive reporting tools, which are the filters and stuff as well. So let's begin taking a look at each of these things individually. So the first area that I'm going to take you all on a tour of is the user-centric or the user-level reports. As I stated, we all have access to that through here. So when we log into Amicus Attorney, we've got our navigation panel over here on the left. And if we look in the upper left, well, we've got Home, Preferences, and then we've got Reports available to us. Unless, of course, your administrator has restricted your access to that. In that case, I would suggest speaking to your administrator. But in the case of our presentation today, let's click on Reports together and take a look at what we see here. So I've clicked on Reports here in my navigation panel on the left, and now here on the right side of my screen, I am presented with two columns. I've got a Basic Reports column, and I've got an Advanced Reports column. So you guys will remember from our earlier discussion, our Basic Reports, these are our Crystal Reports templates. These will look very familiar to those of you who've been using Amicus Attorney for many years and many different versions. And then, of course, we've got our Advanced Reports. Those of you who've been using Amicus Attorney, which used to be called Amicus Attorney Premium Edition up until the last couple of years, will remember these as being introduced in the premium lifecycle. Now, as well, we've got the different categories of reports that we have available to us, such as calendar, communications, files, people, time, and client portal, for those of us that utilize the client portal. Now, obviously, when we click on each of these categories, you'll see that the report options that are available to us change. That's because those are the different report templates we have available for those respective categories. So let's take a look at one of these together. So we'll just use, I'm going to go to Files here. And let's do a basic report first, and then we'll do an advanced report together as well. So let's select one of our basic reports from the list here. Let's just do a My File Summary, All Files. A nice easy one that we can select here. Or we can even do My File Index, All Files. That's another easy, quick one to run. So you'll see that I've selected it here in the basic reports list. And I simply click on the Run button. And in doing so, I now get this report generation dialog presented to me. For each report, it's going to be different. Some reports have more filtering required to them than others. In this particular case, you'll see I don't have any filtering that is required of me. This report requires the following information, and I've got nothing other than the report format itself. Do I want to display this or produce this report in Adobe PDF, Microsoft Excel, rich text format, or Microsoft Word? And RTF, rich text format, is really going to open up in whatever your default word processing application is. So I'm going to leave it as that selection, and I'm going to just say OK on this. Again, I picked this one because it's a very quick report to run, especially in my case. I don't have a lot of files in my particular database. And so as you can see, I've got my default word processor as Microsoft Word 2016 here. And so therefore, what has happened is this report has been generated in Microsoft Word for me. And so again, those of you who have been using Amicus Attorney for quite some time, through various versions over time, will recognize this particular report. And there's my files and so forth. Now I could save this report, print it out, whatever I want to do with it at this point. I'm going to simply just close it here. And now let's do an advanced report together. We'll stick to the files section here, might as well at this point. And so under the advanced reports column, I will select my file index specified status. And now if I click the edit button, just want to show you what happens here. You will receive this particular prompt if you don't have SQL Report Builder installed. In order to edit this report, you require Amicus security rights, and you must first install Microsoft Report Builder 2.0 on your workstation. Report Builder is available for download from the Microsoft Download Center. For full details on editing and publishing reports, refer to the guide available in the Amicus help. So I just wanted you guys to see what would happen when we click on that. And now I've got my advanced report selected. Let's click on the Run button, much like what we did over here on the basic report side. And so in this case, I get the dialog to generate my report again. And you'll see that in this case, I'm being asked for a file status. So I can select from the drop-down. I've got active, active special, closed, closed special, special, open, or all. I'm just going to simply select all. I just want a nice basic report that shows me all of my files. So let's say OK on that. And so in this case, you'll see that it did not generate into a word processing application such as Microsoft Word or WordPerfect or Adobe Acrobat or anything along those lines. No. Instead, this time it's actually generated a SQL report for me. And I'm going to maximize this so you guys can see it a little better. So the report itself looks fairly similar, but I want you guys to note just one of the major differences of the SQL reporting is this. Anywhere I see these black chevrons, you'll see that these reports are actually interactive. And I'll show you what I mean further as we move along here. There's one particular report that I'll show you guys on the billing side that the interactivity of it is one of my favorite features of any report in the program. But as you can see here, I can sort each column respectively. I can actually click on the file name and have the file open for me. And I've got these options up here. Now, some of these reports can be completely interactive. And again, I'm going to show you what I mean by that in a little bit. There is this refresh button here. There's a print button here, so I can print out the report. I can do my print layout, my page setup, but this one here especially as well, the export option. So now that I've generated this report, I can export it and save it as a Word document, an Excel document, PowerPoint, PDF. As you can see, I've got quite a few options available to me here. So that's just a taste at a very high level of the differences between the basic reports and the advanced reports. Now, that's just the reports themselves. Now, we also mentioned document assembly, and we also mentioned interactive reporting tools. So before I do touch upon those items, though, I did say that I wanted to show you guys another interactive report. So let me go over to the billing side of Amicus Attorney here quickly. So before I do so, those were the individual or user-centric level reports. I also mentioned that we had firm level reports. Now, only the administrator can access these, or if you've got multiple administrators, only the administrators can access these. And you'll find in the administration section here in the Office module of Amicus Attorney, if I select firm reports like so, again, I've got my different categories. So I've got business planning, calendar, files, people, system administration, time, and billing. Now, when I look at billing, these are really just my templates. So I don't want to suggest that those are going to be very useful reports to you. However, these particular reports, such as business planning or the calendar reports or the files reports, again, at a very high firm level. So let's just quickly run two of them here so you can see what I mean. So again, I'll go to the files category here. We'll select one of the basic reports. We'll just select master file index all files. Let's do a run on that. So again, there's our report generation dialog. We'll stick with rich text format. You'll note that I have no additional options as far as filtering or anything is concerned. If I click OK on this, there's the master file index for my Amicus Attorney database. Now, obviously, I don't have a lot of files being displayed here, but as you can see, I'm seeing files for all of my firm members. There's my personal vacations for myself, and there's the one for Perry Mason. Same holds true for my personal illness file, and then there's some files that I am the responsible lawyer on here. Now, if Perry had any files in our system, then those would be listed here as well. Now, I can also do this from an advanced reports perspective. So let's do this, the file index, specified status, selected firm members. Or I could do the file assignment index, selected file status. Let's run that one. So again, I'll click the run button here. And there's my options for filtering. My file status, I'm going to set as all. And my user display setting, I could do names or initials. We'll just do initials. And we'll say OK on that. And so again, you'll see in this case, much like the last example we used from the user-centric reports, the basic reports generated in our word processing application. In my case, they went to Word. The advanced reports open in their own SQL report view. And again, I can sort these columns, and I can even click on the file name and be taken to that particular file. And if I wanted to export this report and save it as a Word file, as you can see, I just click on the icon there to do so, and I'm now presented with an option to save this. So I could simply save it like so. And that's that. So that's how I can save that report for future reference. Now, one last area of reporting before I move along to document assembly and then the interactive reporting tools for you. So if I go over to the billing module, and unfortunately this might not apply to all of you if you don't have access to the billing module, depending on your license within Amicus Attorney. But if I was to click on billing here like so, you'll note that I've got a reports option down here as well. So if I click on reports here in the billing module, you'll see again, I get my different categories. I've got reports, bills, so these are just my bill templates, but I do have these reports here, accounts receivable by client, bill journal, and so forth. I've got some reminder statement templates and email cover sheet templates here as well. So let's just quickly go back to the reports category, and I'll quickly show you one of these reports. And do note that none of these are the basic type of reports. These are all advanced or SQL report templates. So I'll quickly just do a bill journal report. If I click on the run option here, after selecting it, you'll see I get my dialog where I'm asked to pick my filtering options. So I'll take my dates, we'll say from January 1st to January the 31st. We'll see receipts up to date for the 31st, write-ups and write-downs up to today's date as well. I will not filter based on responsible lawyer or anything like that, or files. I will say yes, include closed files, include corrections, include paid, yes. So everything looks good there as far as what I have to populate. So let's just quickly say OK so we can see this report. And not that I have a lot of data to show, unfortunately, but that is an example of the bill journal report. So again, just wanted to show that off for you, ladies and gentlemen. So I'll go back to the Office module here. I'm going to go back over to the attorney side of the product. And the next thing I want to show you guys is document assembly type of reporting. So we can do this from the files level or from the contacts level, but let's go to the files module. And for instance, if I select one of my files here, for instance, I'll select my Costanza versus Vandelay Industries, and I will click on the Generate Document button here, like so. Now, these are just the document assembly templates that are included with Amicus Attorney. So I've done nothing special here, ladies and gentlemen. This is what is included with the product after you've installed it. So these are things that all of you will be able to do at this point. So if I wanted to do a file chronology report, I would simply select the file report section here in my document assembly templates list. So I've got my file reports group here. I've expanded that. And as you can see, there's all of my different templates that are available to me as far as reports go. So I'll select the file chronology. And you'll note that I'm selecting the one for Microsoft Word, as Word is in parentheses here. So I've selected my template. I'll click OK. And so as you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to click cancel on this because I don't really want to save this, but you'll see that I've got the options. Much like any document I've generated, I can save and associate this to a file within Amicus Attorney, to a library page, or I can do nothing with it. I'm going to simply just say cancel. I'll close that very quickly, and let me just maximize that. So there is my file chronology report generated in Microsoft Word for me. And as you can see, it's giving me a chronological listing of all the items on that particular file. I've got some time entries. I've got a to-do, got a document there, another time entry, another document. So as you can see, everything is presented to me accordingly there. And that's all achieved through document assembly. So again, I'm not going to save this, but just to show you one more, I could select my Pendergast file here, and again, we'll do generate a document. Let's go to File Reports, and this time let's do a status report. So I will simply click OK on that after selecting that template. And again, you'll see I'm presented with my options as to what I want to do. Do I want to save and associate this to Amicus at all? I'm going to simply, again, cancel on that. But I just wanted you guys to see there's my status report. As you can see, it gives us the file name, the file type, the file number, which is our client ID and matter ID values respectively, the date that the file was opened, the lawyers involved, file summary, file status notes, the last and next events. So there's the last event, there's the last time entry. Any accounting information, there's total time on the file is half an hour right now, and the total dollar value of time on the file is $100. So as you can see, it gives us a very effective summary type breakdown here of our file. And again, I'm just going to not save that. And so that is the document assembly side of things as far as reporting is concerned. Now, the last type of reporting that I wanted to talk about and that I touched upon in the discussion portion of today's session was interactive reporting tools. And again, I'm doing my finger quotes here as I stated. Now, on the attorney side, so where we are right now, so for instance here in the Files module, we can use the filters to sort and display our data. So for instance, I could say, show me all of my files and include my closed files. I could say, show me files of a certain type, so only show me my administrative law files, so I can get a very quick glance. As you can see, I've got 3. I might want to see my civil litigation files. I've got 1. So as you can see, that can be a very effective tool right there. As well, we can do these types of things. So if I right click on the headings up here on my columns, I can do show fields, and I could say add these guys here, such as primary client, responsible lawyer, and the excluded field. So let's just say OK on that. So this gives me just a little bit more granularity as far as how I can sort my data. For instance, I can sort by any of these. So I can go through all of that, but as well, I want to show you guys one other thing that we can do here is we can do a show group by. So if I right click there again, like I just did, so let's just do that again. So if I right click, I've got the option to show group by. And now you'll see that I get this field here. Drag a column header here to group by that column. So let's do this based on file type, just as an example. So if I take the type column, click it, and drag it like so to here, you'll see, look how it has filtered my list. And now, from a very quick glance, I can see that, well, look at that. I've got 3 administrative law files. I've got 1 civil litigation, I've got 2 personal, and I've got 1 personal injury. And I can expand each of these, like so, to view that. I can sort it. And when I'm done, I can simply remove the toggle to show group by. And there you go. I've moved that out here. We can put that back over to here, for instance. And I can simply right-click and remove the check mark. So that's another way we can do some interactive reporting right within Amicus Attorney itself. Now I'm going to show you a couple things on the billing side as well that's really useful. So if we go over to the billing side of Amicus Attorney, and again, unfortunately, this will only apply to those of you that have a billing license, but if I go to the time, fees, and expenses module, for instance, this is a fantastic demonstration of how filtering really comes into play. I can filter to show time and fees. I can filter to show client expenses. I can say dated exactly since before today, for instance. So again, now I'm showing any time and fees, so my time entries that have been logged before today's date. And you'll see again, I've got the type, I've got the date, I've got the timekeeper, client matter ID, the file, the description, hours, rate, amount, invoice number, and the status as well. Unposted, WIP. So if it's in WIP, we know it's work in progress, means it's billable. If it's billed, well, it's already been billed. And if it's unposted, well, we can't do anything with that until we post it, and then we can bill with it. And again, we can sort our columns. And again, we've got that show group by option here. Now, another thing I want to show off is when we come to the billing side here, for instance. If I'm looking at my, let's see here, let's just say show me anything from before today. So for instance, there is a bill. If I expand it, there's the bill itself. And again, I can sort these columns and I can show more fields. So perhaps I want to add the file name and the responsible lawyer. Great, there we go. As you can see. Now as well, I can very easily make any payments and so forth from here by simply right-clicking and receiving my payment. Not that that pertains to what I'm trying to show you guys here today, but again, I just wanted you to see how easy it is to use the filters to your advantage, to not only give you the view of what you want to see, but kind of report the information that you're looking for as well. And then you'll get your summaries down at the bottom. And as well, if I go to a file on the billing side here, and let me just open up my Riverside Drive file here, for instance. And again, on the billing side of the file details, you can sort based on these columns as well. And here in the time and the fees, and the expenses, and the trust, and in the general retainer views, you've got that show group by option here as well. So you can further filter these lists of transactions in that same fashion. So for instance, here I could do the show group by, and we could say, perhaps I want to see any that are, well, we could do it based on status, for instance. Or perhaps we do it based on type or date. So as you can see, we've got different options available to us here as far as how we can see it. And again, we get our summaries down here at the bottom when we're on the billing side of things with hyperlinks. For instance, I can click on this. This is my posted fees. So I can click that hyperlink and it will filter the list for me to show me that particular time entry. if I don't already have it filtered accordingly. So that's on the billing side of things for Amicus Attorney, as far as what we can see and do from an interactive reporting tools perspective, and that's the attorney side from an interactive reporting tools perspective. Again, really more filtering and kind of what's presented in front of your eyes type of filtering. Oh, and the one last thing I wanted to show you guys as far as just how interactive some of these reports can be. If I go over to the billing side of Amicus Attorney, and let's just say that I go to billing here, and actually the best way for me to demonstrate this, I'm going to very quickly open up my tutorial office, because then I'll have a few files with which to be able to show you guys this. And for anybody who has taken the billing new user overview session with us in the past, you will recognize this particular report. I'm guessing you might already know which one I'm referring to, but no spoilers, please. I've got everybody turned off, so no spoilers can be released here. And so just bear with me a moment while that tutorial office opens here, ladies and gentlemen. We like to do spoiler-free webinars. So, all right, so I've got my tutorial office opened here, or I almost do. Okay, so I'm on the billing side of Amicus Attorney. I'm going to go to the billing module, and I'm going to click on the transactions button here, like so. And I'm going to select the bill option. And so now I've got my Create Bills dialog open in front of me here, and I'm actually going to click on the Mass Bill option of the control panel over here on the left. And so I'm going to leave all my selections just as is, and I'm going to leave everything just as is. What I really want to show off for you guys is this report right here. Check for unposted time. So I'm going to click on this button here, and what is generated for me is an advanced report, or SQL-based report, that shows me any unposted time entries that would not be included in my mass billing run. And so what I can now do is, of course, I've got these column headers with the chevrons, so I can sort these, but I really want to show you guys just how interactive this particular report can be, or this particular report is, and how interactive these reports can be. So as I'm going through here, well, I could click on this and open up the file, just like so, like what we saw earlier. So there's the file. That's great. But I want to show you something even better. So these are unposted time entries, right? Well, if I click on the description line item here, meeting with CFO to discuss financial strategy directive, watch what happens. Up comes that actual time entry. And given that this is an actual report showing me the unposted time entries, well, then it makes sense for me to click the post button here, right? All right, so I've now posted that time entry. And I can do the same thing for this widget co one here. And I'll do the same thing for this other widget co one here, just like this. The reason I did these three in particular is because this is a good cutoff for what I'm about to show you next. So I've taken advantage of this report and what it allows me to do from an interactivity perspective, and I've posted those 3 time entries. So the next logical question that you're all probably thinking is, do I have to rerun this report after every batch of these that I do? What if I miss one? Well, I'm going to answer that question for you. Watch what happens when I click on this magic little refresh button right up here. You'll recall that I mentioned this button earlier and that I was going to show you guys where it comes into play. This is the type of report that it comes into play upon. Watch as I click the refresh button. The report has been updated, and those time entries are no longer listed here because, well, this is a report of unposted time entries, and now that they're posted, they just really don't fit into the equation of what this is what this report is showing us. So let's do a couple more here quickly. Again, just to nail the point home here for you guys, I'll do those 2 right there. We would do post on those. So you'll recall that was the Aladdin purchase and the Bailey Kipling. So the time entries for those 2 respective files right there. Let's do a refresh again, and they are now gone because they've been posted, and now they'll be included in this mass billing run. So I just wanted to use this as an example to show you guys another way that the reporting templates can actually be very useful to you, but not so much from a presenting information perspective in this case. I mean, it is, but this is allowing us to interact with the information that it's presenting to us. So I hope that you guys have all gleaned what I was trying to show based upon that. And then, of course, I could simply do my apply change selection and proceed with my mass billing run at this point, knowing that the time entries that I wanted to make sure were included are indeed included. So I'm just going to close on that. I'm going to cancel that and close out. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that has been our presentation today on Reporting 101 within Amicus Attorney. Now, if anybody has any questions, we've got a little bit of time remaining here. So by all means, I invite you to submit your questions through the questions field here in GoToMeeting, and I'll be happy to answer them if I can. And if not, I will do the research needed and follow up with you accordingly. So I will just take a moment now to see if anybody has any questions. Again, when we were just asked about the SQL reporting, the SQL report builder, that is available again from Microsoft's website. If you just go into Google, in fact, and do a search for Microsoft SQL report builder, you will get the appropriate hits. Make sure that you do download it from a Microsoft site, not from a third-party site, just to be safe. I would hate to direct anybody anywhere where they might get any malware or anything like that that's part of a tainted download. So do try to stick to the reputable sources, that being Microsoft themselves. It's a free download. You can download it from their site, install it, and from there, I invite you to play around with it, try to get some information from Google or from the help documentation on how to go about doing things within it, and see if it's something that might be well-versed to your skill set. And if you are not the type of person who wants to deal with the report template customizations and so forth, well, like I said again, please do feel free to reach out to your account representatives here at Abacus Next, and they will get you a quote and speaking to someone in our professional services team to go through the creation or the customization of a SQL report template for you. Same holds true for your billing templates for those of you that use Amicus Attorney Billing as well. As far as the charges, what we would charge for customization of templates or the creation of templates, obviously that's going to vary. I can't tell you that it's going to be the same price for every template for every instance that you might have of a request for that sort of thing, whether it's customization or creation. The cost would be a determination based upon how much time it's going to take to actually do the work and what is involved in the work itself. So those are the type of things, like I said, where you would get a call with our professional services engineer who would scope out what it is that you're trying to achieve, and then from there they'd be able to give you an idea of how much time it's going to take, how much effort it's going to take, and what the roundabout cost of that time and effort would be. Well, it does seem to be the end of our session today, so it looks like we've reached the end here. Thank you again, everyone, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to attend and participate in today's Abacus Next Free Training Thursdays Reporting 101 session from Amicus Attorney. We hope to see you back here next week, where we will be discussing new file intake management within Amicus Attorney, and that's next Thursday, February the 7th, again at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. So thank you again, everyone. Have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day and week, and I look forward to seeing you all here next week for our next webinar.